There's an age-old proverb which goes by the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the second best time is now. And perhaps the same can be said about investments and savings. So today our top story is dedicated to all your 20 and 30 years olds out there who are fresh into the workforce, who have started earning a salary and after having blown up a few times, wondering how to get started on your investment journey. So if you're earning between 10 to 30 lakhs per annum and wondering how to start investing, you are in the right place.
So we all know, or we hear at least from our elders especially, that investing early can set the stage for a secure financial future. But there are so many options, there's endless advice, and this financial bracket is often the bracket that feels, why spend that little money in investing and getting someone to give me advice? Why don't I try myself? And then there are those many options that you get a little scared by. It's hard to know who to trust, which path to follow. There's so much advice that you can find online. Stocks, mutual funds, real estate, fixed deposits. Where do you start? That's why we decided we're going to bring you two expert financial advisors to clear up all of the confusion. They're going to break down the best strategies that you can use to maximize your earnings. They're going to decode investment formulas that are going to last you over a long period of time. So we're actually going to advise you over the next few years. Let's dive straight into it.
So who do we have? We have Rin Agarwal, founder and CEO of FinSafe India Private Limited. Good morning, Rin. So lovely to have you. She's a certified investment advisor and she's also someone who you hire and you pay to plan your investment. She'll be sharing some pearls of wisdom with us today on what people can do and how to approach. Also with us today is Himani Chaudhary. She is a finance influencer, finfluencer as they say, with more than 1 million followers, and she's more new age, on trend, with a special focus on women investors. So we'll try and understand from her as well. So let me first take a question with Rin Agarwal. Rin, you're looking at a demographic of 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds. They are young, they are restless, they want to make money fast and they don't want to work for very long. FIRE is a formula. They want to go out there and ensure that they retire early. So keeping all these things in mind, what is the first thing that you tell them?
So good morning and thank you for having me on the show today. I think the first thing I would tell them is what not to do, because today there's so many people telling you what to do, but what not to do is the bigger thing. So I would say actually first and foremost, do not jump into investing first, right? You need to look at building your basics well. You need to look at building your foundation well. And in order to do that, of course, you need to be saving well, because unless you save well, you cannot invest well either, right? And, there are some few things that you should remember. For example, that it's not easy to make money quickly, right? So all these schemes which are promising you very quick returns in a short span of time, all of this could happen once or twice by luck, but this is not something that happens consistently. And I think, so one thing is that ensure that you have a good amount of savings every month. And I know that it is very tempting. There are lots of places to spend money, but you do need to be trying and saving 30% of your take home. And the second thing I would say is that do not get swayed by all that you're hearing, that people made 30% return, 40% return. All good things in life take time to happen. So does making money.
Okay, let's take the advice you just gave. 30% of your income you should try to save. That's a number that you hear a lot. You hear 20, you hear 30. Those are percentages you hear. So that's great advice. Let's go to Himani now and ask her. Himani, when you're working with younger people, I just want to ask you, firstly, how many do you find actually are saving that amount? Are there many that are saving more? Because these days, investing in stock, these are not entirely alien ideas. You now have apps that can help you do it. So just give us first a sense of the lay, a sense of the topography. What are young people doing, not doing already?
So first of all, Toya and Sonal, thank you for inviting me. With the young people, what happens is when you've just started earning, you have freedom to spend the money, you are in a different city, parents are not there to bug you, you don't have to ask money from them, and you're in a different city, you're just enjoying. So in the initial 2-3 years, they do tend to spend more and save less. And by the time they realize that, okay, now I'm spending a lot, I'm spending on my clothes, I'm doing a lot of partying, and I'm chilling with my friends, Also, I'm buying phones on EMIs, I'm buying gadgets on EMIs, or I'm thinking of buying a car on EMI. Even though my income doesn't match that requirement, that is when they start thinking, okay, now my saving is zero, I've blown up my account, I don't have any money, what should I do? And then they think about investing, but then they don't think about long-term investment. They will first of all think about getting high reward for high risk, and their focus will be on high reward, not on high risk. And then they'll lose some money there as well by doing some stock market trading or getting into cryptocurrency. Once or twice they will get some level of profit, but then they'll blow up that as well. Then they will move on to safe investments. Okay, I'll save some money, I'll save 10%. They start with 10%, 15%, eventually they reach 30%, because by then they are in their late 20s, they also have some level of responsibility. So yeah, early 20s I've seen people, they cannot save that much, but they do try in their middle 20s.
I see. That's like the life cycle of a young investor. You start by blowing up, you go into EMIs, and then finally sense prevails and you're at it. But you know, I have a difference of opinion here, Himani, on how young people are investing. And we'll throw that statistic up on your screen as well, on how there has been a surge in young investors when it comes to the stock market. If you look at the statistic, more than 40% of the Indian investors today are below 30.
Yeah.
And this was just about 23% before COVID, and they're making profit.
Yeah.
This is the good time to enter the market as well. So, Mrin, then the question is, how do you be careful with this? Right now, anybody who has does a little bit of research, the market decides that you will end up making money. The point is, will you end up keeping it?
No, you don't. So last week itself, SEBI has released a report on losses made by intraday traders, individual intraday traders in the equity cash segment. And it found that people in the 20 to 30 age group, 76% of them actually make losses. And if you look at the overall number, it's 71%. But this age group is at 76%, right? So they don't actually keep money. And which is why, you know, again, managing money is actually a very, very structural process. It's not like you just invest somewhere and it's just going to grow. It has to be based on your financial goals, and it has to be based on your needs and your goals and the risk that you can actually take.
Okay, so that's a little more nuance to that then. Let's just go over to Himani. Let's enter, Himani, the big question, which is, okay, I have a little income, I have a little saving, I am taking that saving, say I'm in my late 20s, early 30s. Where do you suggest, or how do you suggest people go about this, especially if they're coming to you? What are basics that you need to have covered? What are the first few places you can look at investing? Are there some safe green flags you can give our audiences?
So I think they have to go it in a very structural way. Investment should be the fourth thing that they should do. I have a method called the LE method, where E stands for emergency fund, H stands for health insurance, L stands for life insurance, and then I, that is investment. So why E, emergency fund? Because you remember COVID, right? You remember what happened. People were laid off, their salaries were cut, they were not given bonuses, and they had to still manage their finances within that money. So that kind of emergencies can happen. So you should have like 6 months of expenses stored with you. If you're like spending 20,000 rupees, you should have a saving fund of 1.2 lakhs, so that you know that, okay, this is something that I can use in my emergency, so that you don't have to dip into your investment fund for it. It can actually keep on growing even during emergencies. Then comes health insurance. You know, these days young people, they are very into subscriptions. So I want them to actually pay a subscription to a company who will manage their health risk. Okay, they will manage everything for them. If you want to go for a surgery or an accident happen, or you get an illness, then at least the health insurance will be there to cover your money. Then you need to go for life insurance if you have some level of dependence, if you have your spouse or your children or your parents, and then you go to investments. You know why all these three things are important? Because now you won't be dipping into your investments in case of any health emergency or any other kind of emergency, or even your family will be able to manage that investment if by chance you are no more, right? So when it comes to investments, like ma'am said, that they need to focus on creating their goals, 3-year goals, 5-year goals, 7-year goals, 10-year goals, and basis those goals, they can start investing. But it gets very boring for them. When I tell them, okay, you need to think about your goal, they'll be like, I don't know when will I get married, I don't know if I want to have children. right? And also I want to retire early. So I know a little bit, but I don't have a lot of clarity. That is when I tell them, okay, but you do know this, that you need to have the level of return which is greater than inflation. Yes, this much I know. This much I know that, okay, I need to invest such that my return is greater than inflation. So in that manner, what they can do, either they can create goals, and then for each goal there will be different level of investments. Mutual funds will be required, FDs will be required, right? And if you don't know your goals, then you can do the 100 minus age rule. So with 100 minus age rule, what you can do, if you're 30 years old, then 30%, 100 minus 30, 70% you can invest in safer investments, which will be your EPF. If you are already doing a job, you can invest in EPF, PPF, FDs. Then you can also invest in bonds. And then the rest, that is 70%, you need to invest in equity and gold. And then within equity also, there will be different categories. You can invest in multi-cap, where they are investing in big companies also, medium-sized companies also, and then smaller companies also. You can invest in mid-cap funds, large-cap funds. So these are the different level of funds that you can have in the 70% of your portfolio. And also within that 70%, 10% you can have in gold. This is something that I can tell them that, okay, in initial phase of your investment journey, you don't know, you don't have the hang of it. So just go with this rule, and then eventually you can change the percentages as per your requirements, and probably you will even know about your goals as you go. So yeah, that's what I usually tell them. Yeah.
Let's look at the basket of investments available to a young person today. And Rin, can you throw some light on that? When you have a buzzing and a booming stock market, you have mutual funds which will match sometimes or not. You have fixed deposit, you have real estate. Now, a lot of people are investing in gold. A lot of people are also investing in stocks abroad. With that kind of basket available to us, what is generally your advice for young people?
So what I would say is that, remember, retirement or early retirement is always a goal that everybody has, right? And hence to start. So once you've taken care of your contingency planning, as Himani talked about it, which is emergency cash and life insurance, the first thing that you really need to look at is your retirement planning. And whether you like it or not, the earlier you plan, the better it is, because every 5 years that you actually delay investing for retirement, the amount that you have to invest is going to double, right? And there's a very good scheme known as the National Pension Scheme that is available to save for retirement. It's extremely low cost. You can take equity exposure out there as well. And that should help you build a good retirement corpus. Next, when it comes to your different financial goals, even if you don't have any specific goals, you know, whenever you're investing money, so if people don't have goals, this is the next question that I ask them, that, okay, for this pot of money that you're investing, how long do you think you can hold this on for? Because it's only when you know the time period that you can hold the investment that you can actually choose the right investment. And you know what? There's nothing known as the best investment. The best investment is the one that's going to suit your time frame and your risk. So for example, if you're looking at investing for periods up to 3 years, you need to look at things like fixed deposits or fixed income schemes like debt funds, for example. If you're looking at slightly longer term, which is, let's say, 5 to 7 years, you can consider balanced investments, which is a combination of stocks and bonds. Of course, these are balanced mutual funds that I'm talking about. And if you have a time frame of above 7 years and above, that's when you need to look at equity investments. So be very, very clear about your time period of time. There are a lot of people who are investing into equities for 2 to 3 years, looking at the last 2-year returns. But equities can be really volatile. And you know, the thing that you should remember, we've only seen the good times right now. And public memory is always short, right? So remember that when you're investing in equity, look at long term and look at mutual funds. And why not stocks, or why not foreign stocks, for example? Well, firstly, for foreign stocks, the tax compliance, the ITR filing is extremely complex, right? And you have a easier way to invest through mutual funds. Now, I don't also recommend direct stocks because there are more than 5,000 stocks. How do you figure out what to buy, when do you exit? And you know, how do you keep up with the changing market trends as well, right? So when you have a simple instrument like a mutual fund, which is highly regulated, managed professionally, has a whole lot of tax benefits, then why try to do this yourself? And remember, this is not your main job, right? Your job is something else, and that's what you
Yeah.
need to be excelling towards. So these are a few things. I would always say that the last thing that I would like to say is that if you're not sure about which fund to get into, a simple Nifty 50 index fund is a good way to start your equity journey.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just take that. Himani, tell us if you're earning, because I want to really, let's go to the first question here. If you're earning 80, 90, 1L and you're only managing to save, for example, 20K, 25K in that amount. Question one, would you suggest going to a financial advisor in that amount? Would you suggest someone educating themselves on the internet, trying to get their own knowledge and making their own start?
Well, I think, like ma'am said, they can start with index investing or Nifty 50 investing, but eventually they should go to a financial advisor, a SEBI registered financial advisor, or at least go to a mutual fund distributor, because they are the professionals. Let them deal with the work that they are expert at. If you are going to manage your money, okay, right now you're saving 20,000 rupees, but in a year that 20,000 rupees grows, right? So eventually you will be investing a lot of money in the next 5 to 10 years, and the investment planning has to be long term. Like ma'am said, you need to know what your short term goals are, long term goals are, medium term goals are. I understand that going to a financial advisor and then paying the fee is not in the Indian culture, because we don't accept to pay money for financial advice. What we want is someone to give us advice, and we can do it on our own. So they have to be aware. They can use YouTube, they can use Google, they can use Instagram for financial education only, but they should actually go to the experts for managing their own money. But essentially they should also go there with the preemptive knowledge, so that they know what the financial advisor is talking about. Because even within financial advisors, there can be possibility that the other person is just trying to take money from you, and is actually not giving you the type of investments that will lead you to achieve your own financial goals. So you should be aware, A, by doing all the research by yourself, and then go to a financial advisor to meet your investment goals. But that is something, you know, people don't do it. People will say, okay, I'll do it on my own only. They'll watch 2-3 YouTube videos.
Yeah, because your parents will end up saying there is some chacha, there is some uncle somewhere who will give you the best investment tip, and best to sort of follow them and not
and
go
these
to an
days,
advisor.
you know, Sonal, it's the
That's how it
opposite
generally
happening.
works. Yeah.
They are telling, no, this YouTuber told me this stock, this YouTuber told me this mutual fund. Mom, dad, you don't know anything. I'll tell you where to invest.
Yeah, but Himani, I have to ask you this. You interact with a lot of these young investors. What is the most bizarre request that you've got on in terms of goals that they have, and what has been your advice to that?
Retiring early in their 30s is, I think, like, what do you want to do after your 30s, bro? Like, what is your plan? So usually they say that, okay, I want to retire early, and I imagine they want to retire in their 50s. So I start telling them the 20-year investment plans that they can have. And then they're like, no, I want to retire in the next 5 years. So what should I do now? But my income is only 40,000 rupees or 50,000 rupees. So that is very bizarre for me. Like ma'am said, investment is just a top up to your primary income. You eventually will need to increase your income, whatever it is that you are earning. But they think that by investing in a stock or by investing in cryptocurrency or by doing intraday trading, I will become like a multi-millionaire. And if Himani is not able to give me that information, she doesn't know anything. I know everything. So that is the kind of bizarre request that I get. It's very difficult to tackle them, because it's the mindset problem, and they'll have to change that. Eventually it will come with time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Rin, then quickly, then I want to understand, if somebody is coming to you with a salary of say 40,000, 50,000 per month, it's hard. I mean, these days, you know, to have a lifestyle, to stay in a metro, it is hard, and it's really pushing them to sort of save up and more. What is your number one priority on where the largest chunk of that investment should go?
I think the largest chunk should go into equities. And very often people ask me that what's a good mix to have. And while that mix of how much you should have in debt and equity is really decided by your financial goals, but just as just as a ballpark, I would always say that you need to have at least 30% of your portfolio in equities. And of course, that's provided you do have long-term goals and that you can hold for the long term. But I think it's very important to have 30% at least into equities if you really want to build some meaningful wealth. Because if you look at most of the other instruments, right, other than gold, I mean, the average return for gold, long-term return is about 9%, right? So if you look at any of the other instruments, they're really not able to beat the 7% inflation that we have on the products that we consume. They're not able to beat that inflation on a post-tax or post-expense basis, right? So certainly it'll have to be equities.
Okay. And let's just go over, Himani, I think we just have time for one last question. So let me ask you, one thing we've not touched on, though we're all women discussing finance early in the morning, is what are are there any special benefits in the system when it comes to being a woman? Are there ways that you'd suggest we navigate this?
Yes, I think when we spoke about health insurance or even life insurance, these days the insurance companies want to have more women customers, right? So they are actually providing women customers 10 to 15% discount on premiums. And if you are in your early 20s and you're getting that, you're already getting life insurance and health insurance at 600 to 700 rupees per month, plus you're getting the 10 to 15% discount. So I think within just 5 to 600 rupees, you can share your health risk and you can share your life risk with those companies and enjoy the benefits. Because if you're going to get that in your 30s or in your 40s, you're definitely going to be paying more than 3,000 rupees a month. So that is a benefit that only women have these days. And then second thing is that if they want to invest in real estate, then almost all of the states provide lesser stamp duties to women investors, to women holders basically. So for example, in Delhi it will be different. There will be a 2 to 3% gap, and when you talk about in crores, that 2 to 3% gap is huge for women. So I think these are the two benefits that women should take advantage of if they are going to buy a house in future. And in health insurance and life insurance, it's a must do for them. It's like a no-brainer for them.
It feels like we've only just scratched the surface this morning of a much, much deeper discussion. But Mrinal, Himani, thank you so much for joining us, for giving us this opening into a much, much deeper topic.